Hi everyone, and welcome to the Foundation's Environment Grant Cycle webinar. Your microphones are on mute. Please feel free to type and send questions at any time. We will answer them throughout the webinar. There will also be specific times available for questions during the webinar. At the end of this recording, we will make this webinar recording available on our grant making page. And a handout with the highlights from this webinar is going to be available on our website as well. And actually, all the information that is going to be covered in this presentation is already available on our website under the Environment Grant Cycle information page. Michelle just shared with me also that we emailed you a copy of that handout this morning. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we get going, I'd like to introduce the team. With me in the room, I have Michelle Murphy, Foundation Support Specialist for Programs, and my name is Calvin Alfaro, Program Officer for the Fresno Regional Foundation, taking the lead on the Environment Grant Cycle. And our Senior Program Officer, Sandra Flores, is unable to join us for this webinar. A little bit about the foundation. We are a community foundation with a long-standing history in the Central Valley. Since our inception in 1966, we have grown considerably. We are now up to $66 million in assets. And our region includes Fresno, Madera, Mariposa, Merced, Tulare, and Kings County. We like to provide a little bit of context when we discuss the assets of the foundation. The diagram on your screens now highlights the breakdown of where those assets come from. We have multiple field of interest funds, donor advised funds, scholarship, board discretionary, and support organizations. The funds available for these type of environment grant cycles and our other competitive grant cycles are from a small pool of funding from our board discretionary funds. As I just shared, we also have 6 grant cycles. We are on our last grant cycle. We began with the Arts and Culture, Youth, and Human Services grant cycles in 2008. And through a partnership with the Hewlett Foundation, we embarked on a teen pregnancy prevention grant cycle as well. We launched the Environment Grant Cycle in 2012. And through a partnership with the Irvine Foundation, we launched the High Impact Grant Cycle in 2012. Before we continue on, I'd like to get a gauge of who the audience in the room is or in the webinar is. So Michelle will post a couple of questions to help us get a better understanding. And we are awaiting your responses. The first question is, will this be your first time applying to the foundation? Yes, no, or not sure. And we're going to close it. And it looks like there's about 18% of you first time applying and 73% of you are returning. Great. Next question, Michelle. The next question is if you are aware of which funding scenario you are considering for the environment. We have Smart Growth, the San Joaquin River Restoration, or both. And we're awaiting your responses. Looks like they're coming in. And we're going to go ahead and close. All right, 82% of you for Smart Growth, and we have a couple of you, 9% for San Joaquin River Restoration, and 9% of you that indicated both. And the last question. Does your organization serve urban or rural communities, or both? And your answers are coming in. I think we're going to go ahead and close. And we have a majority of you serving both rural and urban, 42% of you serving rural, and 8% serving urban specifically. Great. On your screens now is the agenda. Couple of things that we're going to do today. We're going to cover the funding priority, so the goals to fund, and provide some clarity around what we're looking to fund this year. Reporting requirements for those of you that may receive funding. We're also going to spend a bit of time on how to apply. The Environment Grant Cycle is our test grant cycle for a new grant-making system. In 2010, we launched Olga, and that grant-making system was helpful for the foundation to transition from a paper-based system to an online application system. However, in the last couple of years, we have grown beyond the limitations of Olga, and unfortunately, we needed to find a replacement. So we have embarked on that journey, and we are ready to launch that new grant cycle. We'll provide further details in a couple of minutes. Lastly, we'll give you some final tips, and we'll take some time for specific questions. So let's get started with the goals to fund for the Environment Grant Cycle. As I shared earlier, we have two funding priorities. We have smart growth and San Joaquin River Restoration. We have a total of $275,000 available for the Environment Grant Cycle for organizations serving Fresno, Madera, Merced, Tulare, and Kings County. Of that 275, 225 is specifically for smart growth, and 50,000 is specifically for the restoration of the San Joaquin River. The grant ranges for smart growth are between 10,000 and 50,000, and maybe up to 2 years. So this is a new option from last year. We can do a 1-year grant, but we can also do a 2-year grant. The organization will let us know in their proposal. And what that means is that if they request $50,000 over 2 years, they will receive $25,000 each year. If they request $10,000, then they would get $5,000 each year. The grant ranges for the San Joaquin River Restoration are between $5,000 and $50,000 and are 1 year in length. So what is smart growth? We have a somewhat of a refined definition of what smart growth is. Our interpretation is that smart growth is a better way to build and maintain our towns and cities. Smart growth means building urban, suburban, and rural communities with housing and transportation choices near jobs, schools, and shops. This approach supports local economies and protects the environment. Smart growth creates healthy, sustainable communities with healthy people at its center. So the foundation is really looking to fund organizations that deeply understand smart growth strategies that advance public health, social equity, support environmental sustainability, and economic growth. We are looking to fund organizations that engage communities and understand the valley's cultural nuances and the intersection of smart growth and health. The goals to fund for smart growth, there are a total of 6. And if you have applied to us last year, you'll notice that these are very similar to what we had last year, with the exception of the very last one. Ultimately, the goals to fund are what the goals that the foundation hopes to achieve in the long term. Proposals applying to the foundation are required to meet one or more of the following criteria. 1, to improve public health, neighborhood safety, and/or access to green space. To reduce air pollution, for example, reducing the number of vehicle miles traveled. Support for more compact, economically sustainable communities. Support greater infill development and investing in existing neighborhoods and communities. Support for the preservation of prime agricultural land. And one item that is new this year that was not available last year is a goal to fund is to inform, to educate, and engage community members about what smart growth is. We realize that not everybody in the community is aware of what smart growth is, and so we want to provide education, information, and engage community members around the topic of smart growth. To be eligible for these grants, organizations must meet the following 3 criteria. So these are non-negotiable. Organizations need to meet all 3. The programs should demonstrate coordination and collaboration with partners such as local government offices or officials, community leaders, and/or community benefit organizations in implementing the project. The organization should demonstrate strong rationale for proposed program and/or approach in the proposal. And the program should have a clear and conceptual understanding of the indicators needed to demonstrate success. Now, the next 3 slides are going to cover the selection criteria. There is quite an extensive number of selection criteria. Organizations are not required to meet every single one of these criteria, but the proposal will receive a higher ranking the more of these that you can identify as your proposal having met or meeting. One is to educate and engage residents in government decision-making processes. 2, to educate and engage local business leaders as messengers for good planning around smart growth. Educate and engage elected officials and decision makers around smart growth. To provide technical support for community benefit organizations, government agencies, and planning departments to work collaboratively across institutional boundaries in planning and implementing smart growth strategies. Program understands and considers current or adopted community plans and identify areas of opportunity. This means that your program should consider existing community plans like the Fresno General Plan or other community plans and find areas where maybe they can be challenged or an area of opportunity. Convene diverse stakeholders to promote communication, shared learning, and collaboration between public, private, and government sectors. Support for communications and marketing efforts to promote smart growth, particularly those that advance public health, social equity, environment sustainability, and economic growth. The proposal will trigger matching dollars or resources to the region. In the last 3, the proposal demonstrates that the organization has an expertise in smart growth. The proposal provides support for local governments to adopt fiscal assessment tools, and support for staff and community members to become members and actively engage in advisory and decision-making committees and commissions. This last item is new. We included it this year as part of our efforts to educate the community about what smart growth is. And so providing support for staff of the organization or community members means either fiscal or resource support to allow these members to become actively engaged in the decision-making committees and commissions in their communities. At this point, I'd like to pause for questions. Michelle, do we have any questions? Okay, no questions at this time. We will go ahead and move along to the San Joaquin River Restoration. If you have questions, please feel free to type them in for Michelle and we will address them. The San Joaquin River Restoration is made possible through the Ted Martin Family Endowment Fund, which was established with the foundation in order to help the restoration of the San Joaquin River, to increase river water flow and restore the native fish populations in the San Joaquin River, particularly salmon. This is a legacy gift that the Martin family left to the foundation, and therefore we will continue to provide grant-making opportunities through this legacy fund forever. The San Joaquin River Restoration are less rigorous criteria in the sense of there's specific goals that are set forth by the fund by Mr. Martin himself. And so we have 3 eligibility criteria. Proposals are required to meet at least one of the following. Proposals should seek to acquire land for river restoration or restore native fish, particularly salmon, populations and increase water flows, And lastly, support repairing restoration to improve habitat for native fish and to stabilize banks against erosion and incision. These are the foundation's small bets, experimental opportunities as we work to restore the San Joaquin River. The selection criteria, organizations will receive a higher ranking if they're able to meet the selection criteria. We're looking for organizations that are collaborating with other organizations doing similar work, and programs that may trigger matching dollars or additional resources to the region. At this time, do we have any questions for the San Joaquin River Restoration? No? Great. If I can have you reply and just state that you are able to submit questions. We just want to troubleshoot, make sure that your questions are coming through to us, as we haven't received anything so far. Perfect. Thank you. The next section we're going to cover is the eligibility and restrictions for applying to the Fresno Regional Foundation. Again, all this information is available on our website. These are the type of organizations and groups that we will fund: nonprofits, government agencies, community groups with a fiscal agent, public or educational institutions. Each of these must be serving one of our 6 counties in order to be eligible to apply. The required documentation, this is how we assess your organization's health, and these are non-negotiable. This is important to the foundation as they increase funder and donor confidence. We are reviewing the stewardship principles and practices of your organization, and these documents and their timeliness reflect those stewardship principles. We provide examples of all the documentation that we require available on our website, and we have made allowances for new organizations. For example, if you have recently received your 501c3 designation, say in 2014, you will not have a financial history. Therefore, we provide the option for you to submit 2 letters of recommendation in lieu of your financial history. These letters of recommendation should be 1 from your board chair, or 2 from a community member. Again, we provide a table of the documents required on our website. The next section is the restrictions on what we will not fund. So we will not fund previously incurred expenses, fundraising by one agency on behalf of another, endowments, institutions that limit their services to persons of a single religious sect or denomination, and we will not fund individuals. At this time, I'd like to cover a bit of the reporting requirements. We spend a bit of time on this because this is an important component to the foundation, as it helps us to measure our community impact. When we launched the grant-making program in 2008, we began with identifying what we wanted to learn from our grant-making opportunities. So we began with the final report and worked backwards to get at the questions we wanted to ask in the application. Before you apply, we encourage you to take a look at the reporting requirements for our grants. Please understand the type of information that we will be asking you to report on. Think about the data, and if your organization is not currently collecting it, how will your organization be able to collect and meet those reporting requirements? Organizations should be prepared to comply with all reporting requirements at the end of the grant-making period. Failure to submit the final report may disqualify the grantee from future funding requests. We also ask that you provide us copies of electronic press releases and/or media contacts resulting from any grants that you receive from us. We also welcome photos, newsletters, mailing lists, and for you to share your successes throughout the year as we progress towards the completion of the grant. We use this information to increase your profile in the community by highlighting your great work to the community, donors, and to other funders. Now, here's where we're going to be spending a little bit of time as we want to introduce you to our new grant making system. Ultimately, our end goal is to make it easier for organizations to submit a grant request to us. If you're familiar with our grant making process, we have three-step process or two-step process where you provide us an organization profile update. This is how we get to know your organization. It provides us with the documents to assess your organization. And secondly, you then complete a grant application, which is specifically about the project that you wish to seek funding for. This is going to continue to remain the same. The questions have not changed from Olga, only the system we're using and the layout may be a little bit different. So we're going to start on our website, and in just a second I will navigate to our website and I will show you the three-step process. The one additional step that we have now is that we are asking everyone to register for an account using our new Flux grant making system. We did not migrate over users from Olga. One of the differences with our new system is that organizations are no longer limited to only having one username and password per their organization. Now, while this is true, we would encourage you to limit the number of people you have give access to your grant application. It may cause confusion, and only one person may edit the application at a time. Once you have registered, you will provide us an update to your organization profile card, which we're now calling the OR card, and is the equivalent of the OPF. Once you have received approval by the program staff that your OR card has been approved for the year, you are then able to complete a grant request. And remember that your OR card, we only ask you to update it once a year. Given that this is the last grant cycle of the year, once your organization receives an OR card approval, in January, we will clear those approvals out and everyone will need to submit new information for the 2015 calendar year. So here's the first steps on creating an online account. We are going to navigate to our Fresno Regional Foundation grant making tab. So we are at our home page right now. We will click on grant making, and as you can see, the Olga language has been stripped out, and we are now using a Flux account login. A couple of things about this new layout is we have information about each specific grant cycle on each of these tabs. Clicking on it will take you to that specific information, and there's a couple of things I want to highlight here. Again, the information we have just covered in this presentation is all available here on the first tab. The second tab provides a description of what smart growth is. The third, fourth, and fifth tab provide resources, additional communities on smart growth, research, and research by topic. So we encourage you, most likely you have already read some of this, but we want to make it available to you. We also encourage you to review who has been funded in the past. We provide a list of the grantees that were funded in 2013, and so you can see the type of projects that were funded. Lastly, we have a list of the committee members who will be reviewing your proposals. We stop here because we want to make sure that you understand the composition of these committees. These are individual volunteers that review your proposals. Their composition is comprised of board members, experts in the Central Valley, and also experts in smart growth. And new this year, we also have additional funders in smart growth from throughout California who have joined us in that committee and will be reviewing proposals. One piece of feedback that we provide to any applicant is that when writing your application, making sure that your application resonates with the audience who is reviewing the application. The committee will have available to them the Smart Growth Goals to Fund and the San Joaquin River Restoration Goals to Fund. and they will compare the proposal to what we are asking in this criteria. Okay, so to begin, we're going to click on Flux account login, and we'll gives you a brief explanation of what happened to Olga and the data. And clicking on the blue button will take you to our portal for grant making. The direct link will also be provided, so you don't have to come to our homepage. You can go directly to the link. A couple of things that I want to point out on this page is the registration is on the right-hand side. Again, everybody will be registering, so you will click on register. You will provide a brief bit of information about yourself, your CEO, and your organization. The program staff will connect your registration to the organization card that we may have on your organization. So the information that you would have provided us last year will be made available to you, so you don't have to re-enter everything, but provide an update. And then we will also create a username and password for you that will be emailed to you once your registration is approved. In the event that you forget your password, you can always reset it by submitting the login, the email that you used during registration. You'll receive an email with a link to reset your password. As my test environment organization. All right, perfect. So I want to give you a bit of a breakdown as to the navigation of this new system. It is a little bit different than Olga. Your navigation is on the left-hand side. The first tab you land on is the grantee home, which provides you additional instructions. The second tab is My Profile. This is where you can change your password if you so desire and update information about yourself, so the user. When I click on this here, I get to see what information I have available. I can print it or I can edit it. And as you can see, I can edit my password here and I can update my contact information here. The first step in applying, as I mentioned, is going to be to provide us with an org card update. This means that I will go into my organization tab and I will see my organization listed here. The program staff will connect you with your existing org card or create a new one if you don't have one, if you're a new organization. Clicking on it will give you the print view, so the view that you can print or take action on. You are not able to edit this view. A couple of things to note is that items in yellow provide additional instructions, and there may be frequently asked questions embedded throughout that are that can be hidden if they're not pertinent to you. One question here is, what if my organization does not have any paid staff? In this case, for the board and staff demographics, we ask you to input your volunteer demographic information under the staff sections. Again, the questions have not changed from Olga. We've only made them easier for you. One thing I want to point out to you is the org card review status. This is meant to be helpful for you to understand what step you are in. Right now we have it under org card edits needed. This means that the program staff have requested that the organization update additional components in their org card before it is approved. Ultimately, you want to get to the org card approved status. This means that any request that you submit to the foundation will be reviewed and forwarded to the committee for funding consideration. Any other status will not allow your request to be reviewed by the committee. So we have a deadline of October 7th. I'm sorry, October 24th to complete an update to the org card. So there's still plenty of time. When I'm ready to edit my org card, I will go ahead and use the edit button. And as you can see, the fields become editable, where I can go ahead and type in the information as required. In these boxes, you can select multiple items and move them to the right or to the left. If you have a fiscal agent, you will provide that information here. The board and staff demographic, and we have 2 narrative questions about the multicultural impact of the Valley to your organization. We have attachments, and again, we provide a description of what attachments are required for your organization. So we have a table here indicating what attachments are required for a community benefit organization, for schools, for community colleges, community groups of fiscal agents, or government agencies. And we also provide an example for you to download and review before attaching them. In attaching documents, you are able to delete old documents, and you can see them in the view mode. I can go ahead and click the plus button, select the document, or drag it into this box, and I will go ahead and select the FRF logo. I will then be asked to classify that document as to what type of document it is. So if this is my annual report, I will go ahead and select annual report. If it's my strategic plan, I will select a strategic plan and then start upload. As you can see, it'll give you the status. You can close the box and you'll be able to see your new document uploaded here. You can always delete documents that are not pertinent or that are outdated. And I'm going to save. I encourage you to save throughout. We don't have the timer that Olga used to have, but with any system, we encourage organizations to always save, as browsers will refresh if left open for a long period of time. When you are ready for the foundation to review your org card, you will click Submit. There is an option for a note. However, please be mindful that this note is not the area for you to advocate for your organization. This is meant for communication, sharing maybe a document that was uploaded that you wish to have removed, or something that you'd like to note, but it is not for a narrative. So as you can see, I get an error message at this time. This usually means that I have failed to answer one of the questions in bold. Questions in bold are required in order to save. And other questions, which I don't see which one it is. Let's see. Cancel and submit. Right. Something is going on. Oh, I think my financial history information is set there. Okay. As this is a test for the new grant making system, we will be available to you for any assistance and to help troubleshoot any issues that arise. We encourage you to communicate with us. We want to be helpful in this system in helping you complete your application process. So please don't be shy to ask us for assistance. Once your organization profile has been approved, you will see the org card approved, and that means you can start a grant request. A new grant request, you can start it from the button listed here. And if you have saved it previously and you're returning, you will find it under your draft section. The request section contains any drafts that you have, any submitted proposals that you've submitted to the foundation, and any proposals that have been declined by the foundation. If any of your submitted proposals become grants, they will become active grants here until they are completed, meaning that the grant period is over. And if you have any active grants, you will also see a report that it will be due at the end of the year. And accepted reports are reports that you have submitted in the past. If you had an active grant with us in the past using Olga, you will see those past grants and reports available in your dashboard for your organization. The request, the first item we ask you to pay attention to is that there is only one document required, and that is the budget template. There are instructions in that template as to what you need to provide. The second item is that we ask that you review what your org card status is. Again, this is telling me that my org card is in edits, which means that my proposal will not be reviewed and considered for funding. Again, we want you to see an org card approved status here. And actually, the first question helps you to focus on that status by asking you if you have an org card approved status. If you click no, you'll notice that you are unable to proceed to the full application. Clicking yes will allow you to view the full application. Here, again, the same items that we asked in Olga will be available here, grant amount. Please remember that items in bold are required in order to save. You'll get that error message and it'll be highlighted in red if you don't complete those. You'll notice that a lot of information is now being pulled from your org card, so we are not asking you to re-enter information that you have previously given to us. These are the same questions that we had in our previous you have character limits on these questions, so please be mindful of that. They will count down as you begin typing. We ask you to review our final report. And if you are requesting over $10,000, there are additional questions that you will need to complete. Once you type in the amount requested, you will begin to see those additional questions listed here. Great, so my grant request was saved successfully. If I am ready to submit this to the program staff for review, I will go ahead and click submit. As you can see though, I typed in over $30,000, which is over $10,000, which now allows me to see the additional questions that I have to complete given the request amount that I am requesting. The attachments works the same as the org card. And when I'm ready to submit, I will submit to the foundation. Depending on the state that you are in with the proposal, we may ask you to provide additional edits, and you will see that this button will change to indicate that state. So if we have asked you to make corrections to your proposal, you will see that that button will say resubmit to the foundation. At this point, I'd like to pause for any questions. No questions. Okay. We've gone over how to update your org profile. And again, I encourage you to communicate with us and ask us questions, help us troubleshoot with you if there are any issues that arise. We've gone over how to complete the grant request. The final tips for this presentation, you have to provide an update to your org card and have it approved before applying. Grant requests must fall within the given grant ranges. So what we covered earlier about the ranges for smart growth and the San Joaquin River Restoration, please make sure to ask within those requests. Anything above or underneath those ranges will not be considered for funding. If you ask for $50,000, the board and the committee may recommend to provide less than that amount, and we will communicate with you to make sure that that is not detrimental to the work if you were to receive less than what you requested. Remember that for $10,000 and one or more, you are required to complete both worksheets of the budget attachment and the additional questions in the application. So that is $10,001 and more dollars. $10,000 will not be required to submit those additional questions. For the best experience, we encourage you to use the Google Chrome browser. We will provide a link on our website for you to download if you do not already use it. Again, we are hoping to provide you with the best experience possible, and this browser allows us to be able to do that. Lastly, I want to remind you all to give yourself plenty of time to complete all the documentation. Specifically, the org card requires you to coalesce information from numerous departments in your organization, which may require more than one day to complete. Questions? Yes, Michelle.
At this time, we have no further questions, so please submit if you would like us to answer anything right now, or we will be available, as this is a new online grant application process. We are available to answer questions throughout as you are updating your org card or the grant request. With that, after each deadline, the October 24th is the deadline for the org card. Please be on the lookout for emails from the program staff, as we do try to have a fair and transparent grant-making process, and we allow 24 hours for updates if there's anything needed to be addressed in your org card or in the grant request. Following that process, the grant applications will be due on November 7th. And following that, we will again send out emails if anything needs to be addressed in your grant request before sending it to the committee. The committee will be meeting in December to review all the applications, and then it will go to the board for the final approval in the second week of December.
We will be in contact with all organizations the second week of December after our board meeting. We have two questions at this time. One question is, for new 501c3s, are the only two letters the only thing needed regarding the budget? Again, I want to provide some clarification to that, that there are several documents that we request for all 501c3 organizations. The mention of the two letters of support are in lieu of financial history. We still have additional documents that are required. Please review the table that we provide in the OPF to see which documents you are required to submit for your organization. This information is also available on our website, so it's not just on the grant making page, but we do have it available here, specifically in the FAQs, what attachments are required for your organization. We have another question. Since the org card is wiped out at the end of the year, is there a way to save the information in the account or offline? At this time, what we are going to, what we've always done is actually not wipe out the org card or the OPF. What we've removed are the attachments, and we have also cleared it of the status, approved status. This means that we will continue to do the same thing. At the end of the year, your org card will be stripped off the org card approved status and back to the org card edits needed status. We will leave your attachments, and we will ask that you upload new attachments if there are any. With this new system, everything is timestamped, and so we know when the last update happened, so there's no need for us to remove the attachments. So all of your org card data will remain intact from year to year. The only thing that will change going forward is the status, whether your organization is approved for applying to the foundation or not. Any other questions? Great. If there are no additional questions at this time, we are a couple minutes early. Couple other things I wanted to share with you is that we have been offering to our other grant cycles, and we will offer to the environment grant cycle, the opportunity for the program staff to review your application before it is submitted for committee review. For this specific grant cycle, however, we asked that organizations wishing to receive feedback from the program staff do so within 2 weeks prior to the actual deadline. We are not able to provide feedback within 2 weeks of the deadline for the actual application. So, Michelle, the deadline for the application is November 7th. So the last day that we can provide feedback is going to be Friday, October 24th, which is actually the deadline for your OR card update. There's still plenty of time to do so, however, so please contact the email address that is on your screen, program@fresnoregfoundation.org. This will make sure that all of the program staff receive your email and make sure that we will get back to you with feedback. The type of feedback that we provide is we try to anticipate questions that the committee will have about your proposal. And so we're not going to do any writing on your proposal, but we will ask you probing questions that the committee will probably ask regarding your proposal if it were to be submitted as you have submitted it to us. So again, the deadline is October 24th for any feedback from the program staff. We have one more question, is we will receive a copy of this webinar. Yes, the video webinar will be made available on our website in a couple of days. And all this information is available on our website, on the handout, and it was emailed to you this morning as well. But yes, this video will be made available. If there are no more questions at this time, I don't have any additional information. I thank you for participating in this webinar, and I look forward to reviewing your proposals and working with some of you in the year to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.